Shit_gets_real.jpg. Put down phone and listen. Rhythmic knocking on my wall. Dog tilts her head listening to it. Hairs on my arm are raised. 3 knocks, like someone's knocking a door. Realize it's on the outside on my house. Realize I'm on the 2nd story of my house. Shit_gets_weird.png. Knocks are moving. Moving closer to my mirror. Dog is suddenly motionless. I hold my breath. Knocking gets louder. Knocking gets closer. Silent_panic.exe. Can't remember any prayers. Knocking reaches my window. Stops. For suddenly garage door opens. It's Mom, thank God. I didn't sleep in my room that night. Spooky things still happen out of the random in that house though, and I don't know what. I still don't know what the fuck that was, and it hasn't.
Landlord is chillest dude ever, irrelevant to the story, just felt the need to mention it. House is some old Victorian terrace. Wasn't actually that scary, nor was he a positive ghost. To me he was just a part of the house, like the tacky 80s wallpaper. Seeing him wasn't an omen, or a cause for alarm. It was simply a...
Here's another one that happened in that house. Be me, 8 years old. In bed. Parents come in, it wasn't them. 3 days later we find out my great-grandpa passed away. Realized it was his voice I heard that night, felt bad for getting scared.
Because Scamdemic shut down my job. Enjoy being back and chilling with dog. Throw old socks around in the basement. Dog is pro at catching socks. I look at phone for a second to text XGF. Suddenly feel like I'm being watched. Dog isn't waiting at my feet with sock anymore. Look around for dog. She's at the far corner of the room. Watch her place sock at the foot of a couch. She stares at the couch like someone's sitting on it. Impatient whooped does house sitting, as their parents were out at an event. We stopped playing and went out to buy snacks. There is a store near her house, but it was closed and we had to walk about 30 minutes to get to a 7-Eleven's to shop. On the way to the 7-Eleven's I felt watched, or rather like there was someone near me. My friend commented that we should hurry, but didn't tell me why. We shopped and started walking back to the house. It was about 11:30 at night and the stretch we walked was very dark. As we walked back, that feeling of having someone close to me didn't go away and I told my friend. I thought he was going to mock or ignore my comment, but I could see in his face that he was worried too. He told me that strange things happen near the street. According to what he has heard from his sister and other friends, it is common to hear voices and whistles, but when you try to find where those sounds come from you will realize that you are all alone. I was already freaked out, but the worst came next. We were a couple of blocks away from his house, and we started to hear something from behind. It was movement, but it wasn't footsteps. I turned to look and I could see a dog. It was big and brown-haired. I stayed watching for a moment and my friend stopped to look too. The dog stared at us and after a few seconds it started to come closer. When the dog started walking towards us I heard it. The fucking dog said, "Wait for me, I'm coming with you." My friend yelled and ran away. I followed him as fast as I could. From behind I could hear the dog chasing us and the fucker started laughing. It was a human laugh, low and maniacal. We ran all the way to his house and thank God, my friend's dogs were in his yard waiting for us. The fucking dog that was chasing us was still laughing, and when my friend opened the gate to his house, his Labrador shot out into the street. I still remember, when the Labrador came out to defend us, that fucking monster or whatever, fought him off, but my friend's dog didn't last long. I was closing the gate and I got to see what happened. My friend was screaming for his sister to help us. That fucking monster dog killed the Labrador, he was biting it by the neck, and all of a sudden he let go, he started laughing again. The dog stood up on 2 legs and grabbed the Labrador's body and carried it away towards some bushes that led to a nearby hill. All this happened in less than 2 minutes, I was in shock and my friend had to push me into his house. It took us a few hours to recover, his sister was trying to calm us down and the Chihuahua was shaking as he watched the door. His parents arrived around 1 a.m., they were scared and asked us what happened. My friend explained and his parents seemed surprised, but didn't question the story. His mom told us to start praying and his dad was locking doors and windows. We were praying when all of a sudden we started hearing the same dog laughing and it sounded like scratching at the windows. His dad started yelling at him and cursing at the thing to go away. It was only about 5 minutes, suddenly the laughter stopped and he didn't hear anything else. After all this you could say that everything went back to normal. His parents told us to go to sleep and that the next day we would go for help. Well, what happened next may not be familiar to many of you as this has a lot to do with the legends and superstitions of Mexico, which is where I live. When we woke up, his parents asked us to describe better what happened. I had already overcome the shock of the experience and I started to tell them everything that happened and the things I felt when we went shopping. They told me that what we saw was probably a nahual. For those who do not know, a nahual is a witch or shaman that has the ability to change its shape to that of an animal after making a pact with evil forces. Maybe you can say that they are similar to skinwalkers. I already knew what they were, but I never thought I would run into one. They told us that they had called a friend to do a cleanse for us, to remove any kind of negative energy or curses that the nahual had put on us. According to them, if we had not prayed at night, the nahual would have probably done some harm to us or even kidnapped us. The day passed and the lady who was a friend of my friend's parents did a cleansing for us. She also cleansed the house and put some things to protect it. Those talismans, if you can call them that, were buried around the house and she gave us some necklaces to protect us. Those were the events that happened at the time, but over the years my friend and his sister, who are the ones who have told me a couple of their experiences, say that the activity has not completely ended. The worst case of strange activity was when one night they heard their Chihuahua barking. When they went to check what was going on, they heard scratching at the door and whining. They didn't open the door, but they looked out the window and there they saw it. It was a Labrador dog. He was scratching the door and had his head down. His sister almost opened the door, but my friend stopped her and told her not to even think about opening it. It was sudden. The dog barked and turned to look at them. His eyes were yellow and he was bleeding from his neck. They looked at each other and the dog smiled at them and then went off into the bush. There are a few more stories, but they are only about scratching or barking near their house. His sister doesn't live there anymore and my friend says he is about to move. I just hope whatever is terrorizing them doesn't follow him to his new house.
Be me. Live in central Oklahoma, about an hour east of OKC. Ruralish town, modest population, sub 30K, very spread out and dispersed. Middle of nowhere otherwise, town is the only place with things like Walmart and whatnot for 40 minutes in any direction. Outside town is just forests and plains with small podunk towns and desolate dirt roads. Live in a small complex of duplexes on the east ass end of town. Edge of town forested area not even 300 feet from my unit. North Canadian River runs through it, PIC related. Bumming internet from a neighbor at the time, back door open, PC set up in my dining room for signal. Hear a commotion outside. Ignore it for a while, eventually decide to step outside and see what's happening. Obligatory weird sounds from forest.png. Almost sounded like a person screaming. Creepy, but just figure it's a tweaker or something having a fit. Maybe a coyote. Town has a drug problem, edges of town are wacko territory. Goes on for over an hour. Grows louder. Call it to report it to the police. Don't usually report weird tweaker shit, but it was starting to bother me. Little scared, but figure it's probably nothing. Back porch for a smoke, listening to creepy scream in the distance. Catch the cops driving down the street, shining a light on the tree lean. Screams grow less frequent, but the cops don't stick around long. Eventually sitting at PC again, haven't heard or through about screams in a while. Look over and gasp as my heart nearly falls out of my ass. Coyote staring at me from behind the screen door. Coyotes here are timid, never seen one this close. Sit there and stare at it for a few seconds. Really bad feeling. Slowly walk up and shut the back door. Coyote doesn't even move. Screams continued later, went all night until I finally fell asleep.
I was followed by black vans multiple times. I don't feel like green texting it right now, but I have in the past, and the thread, were shitted up by intense, bizarre posts. They sent a strange Girl Scout up my family's driveway when I was young and followed me when I was driving in my late teens. Told my cousin about it and we literally experienced 2 separate black vans, one with a strange static Siri noise, and the other with a bald white guy with a blue computer monitor. Vans were all black in a way I have never seen before. No plates. Super bizarre, and all my friends and family have offered theories. It's become something of a long-running joke now, but occasionally I snap and say, it's not a joke, GF/friend/family member. Not sure why I would be targeted besides being a bit interested in weird conspiracy stuff. It has totally dumbfounded me, and it seems almost intentional. Hyperdetection of agency, a schizo trait I'm well aware. It seems calculated to make me look crazy while explaining it. It is kind of funny though.
Be me. Working security in a power plant overnight. Set in bushland, bumfuck coastal town, Australia. Required to patrol bushland in addition to watching cameras. Driving work ute in safe and responsible manner at 160 km/h through bush. Stop to check map, figure out which turn I'm on. Look up. I'm shit at green text. Anyway, right at the edge of the lights I see what looks like Eisheim reflection. There's feral pigs out there, sure. Problem being that whatever it is clearly not a feral pig. Different Eisheim. And then it turns and moves in what would be a loping motion, not a trotting motion. Vanishes into the bush, out of the lights. The hunters release baby pigs to hunt out there. It's why we patrolled the bushland, to see if we can find the pricks, because crazed pig hunters are a thing a random unarmed Seki wants to find in the dark. You see feral pigs all the time. This was not a pig. I'm pretty sure it was a phantom big cat. There's weird markings out there in daylight, and people have been known to vanish around the area for the last 20 years or so. Something nudged the back of the ute, like some weight had been applied, but I couldn't see anything. I panicked and I floored it. I didn't get out of the ute the rest of the night. Didn't want an escaped tiger eating my cock when I had a piss or something.
Laying in bed at night. Hear a voice call to me from the hall. Anon. Huh, I reply half asleep. Anon. Hear the voice call for me again. It's my wife's voice. She's asleep next to me. Tell it to fuck off and roll over. Hear a mumbling a few times. Too chicken shit to talk to it again. Bullin' in bed different night months later. Watching something on my phone. Home alone. My bedroom door opens. Think it's my cat, call to him. I'll sleep on top of the dog cage to my right. Fuck. No one in the bathroom. No one home but me. Sounds of kitchen cupboards and drawers moving every other night. Shit always going missing in the house. Find it in weird places like inside a closet or in a room I haven't been in. Wife doing dishes one day. Hear her laugh, pause, then scream. Runs into my office. I thought you were trying to scare me. Said, felt arms wrap around her suddenly. Wasn't me. WMV. She's slightly afraid of the kitchen now. My house is haunted as fuck. Got more. One of the first signs that something was afoot. Hallway light always turning on. Switch for the light on each end of the hall so it's not obvious if a switch has been flipped. Figure it might be electrical. One day audibly hear one of the switches as the light comes on. Spooked, but come up with some kind of explanation, something about currents I don't know. Feeling of being watched in certain rooms. Heavy atmosphere in the hallway. Friend staying from out of state. Casual, joking mention of my house being haunted. Brushes it off, no big deal. First morning. Were you in the hallway last night? No. Whatever, you're just trying to spook me. The second morning to report. Third morning. Can't find his keys. Swore he left them on the guest room desk. Give up on looking. We go around town in my car. Come back, keys are on the guest room desk. He leaves. 2 days later hear him laugh in the other room. Totally slipped my mind in that moment that he went back home. Go in the room, what's funny? No one there. One of my dogs dies. Was old as fuck. Get a little wooden urn thing for her ashes. She sits on the entertainment center by the TV. TV starts turning itself on and off shortly after this at random intervals. Sometimes while watching. Sometimes while no one's home. Sometimes while sleeping. Eventually goes out entirely, won't turn on or anything. Always been paranoid about carbon monoxide leaks. Have 3 battery-powered detectors in the house. One day they all sound. Worst nightmare.png. Wrangle the dogs. Cat, get the fuck out. Call emergency services. They come, ambulance checks me out. Dudes with equipment go in the house to check. They find no trace of co. Check for a source, nothing. At a loss for what to do. Reset the co-detectors and go on as normal.
I was lurking a while ago at my day job and I saw some video spoopies, so I figure I should share one of my own. Now this might have been a coincidence, dunno, but still a story I love to tell. Be me, 13. Huge Warcraft 1 and 2 fan, Warcraft 3 is just about to release. Fucking pumped. As soon as the game gets released in the nearby GameStop or whatever store it was, can't remember since I've moved since this story. It's fucking sold out. Beg the guy at the counter to check the back. He's annoyed having to give in to a snotty kid's demands. Spends a while back there, my mom was just about to leave before he came out. Probably smoked a joint in the back or something, but he said he found a copy. Unmarked CD case, completely black. Disc unmarked too. Only charged my mom like $8 because it wasn't an official purchase or some shit, can't remember clearly. We get home and I immediately get set up to play it. Game starts up as normal. Play as orcs because fuck the alliance. Playing through the early parts when bam. Power goes out. Shit myself and panic a little because my save might have gotten corrupt. Go quiet for a moment. Realize that my PC is still whirring really fucking loud despite the power being out. Press the eject CD button. Power comes back on. PC's desktop wallpaper is replaced with a mishmash of colored pixels, kind of like an NES corruption, makes this horrific distorted beeping sound. Startled the fuck out of me and I dropped the Warcraft 3 disc and slipped getting out of my chair to turn the speakers off. Land right on the CD and snaps it in two. Draws blood from my knees somehow. Noise immediately stops and my background is normal. What about it to this day?
Be anyone else but me. Less than 10 years old, possibly 4 to 6. It's been a long time, my memory isn't great. My parents set me up with a bed bumper because I was a restless sleeper and I'd occasionally roll out of bed and fall onto the floor. I had 4 plush dolls, I took them with me to bed. One night I had to get up to take a wicked piss. I started on my journey. I dropped a plush while I was walking to my door. I turned around to pick it up. It's gone. Okay, no big deal, I'll find it later, I still have 3. I was in this dreamlike state where it seemed as though the lights were on when they really weren't. I'd walk down our totally dark hallway but it would be completely illuminated. I reached the bathroom and turned on the light, but in order to do that I had to put my dolls down. I went to pick them back up and there were 2 left. A little panic, but whatever, I'll find it later. The hallway was pitch black. Put the dolls down behind me to piss. Go to pick them up again. There's 1 left and I start to cry. My mom materializes out of nowhere next to me in the bathroom and told me I was just having a bad dream. She looked hazy, it's the only way I could describe the effect. She leads me down the hallway and the entire time the lights were strobing on and off slowly. My missing dolls were draped over the bed bumper in a way that I couldn't replicate once I got back into bed. It's like they were held there with a sort of magnetism. I got back out of bed to see my mom again. Her and my dad were dead asleep. Everyone was asleep. All the lights were off. Go to bed. MFW.
First time doing my own green text, so bear with me. Be me. Around 20 something, but still won the younger part of the bracket. Made few bad decisions in life, ended up living with my dad and his wife for a bit. It's summer night in Europe. Temp is just right. Play vidya until 2 AM as nothing better to do for now as I am between jobs. Go for a last smoke, lay in an unmade bed, with just a blanket and an old pillow, which still remembered my childhood. Pretty cozy.png. Lay in bed for a lengthy while, never been able to quickly fall asleep. Sad.png. Not sure how much time has passed. My bedroom is this particular bright/dark, when it's a summer night with a full moon, and your eyes got completely used to the darkness. Something's fucky.avi. Realize that I am unable to move my body. Can only move my eyeballs. Look to the right. There's someone standing next to my bed. A woman in a gray dress, a ragged plain gray dress, like the one the chick from The Ring was wearing. Can't see her face, straight long black hair covering it. Blymaitsalma.mp3. Feel intense pressure on my chest, terror clawing into my head. My head was empty, all I felt was pure dread. She was not moving at all, just standing next to my bed. Blinked. She was crouching next to me. Fuck. Where should be her face, was nothingness. Absolute pitch black void. Find it in me to start screaming. Yell out the most primal scream that has ever left my mouth. The lights go on. My stepmother and my cousin are standing in my room. Both look scared shitless. What's going on, Anon? What happened? Are you alright? Gather my thoughts. What the fuck happened? I think I had a nightmare, no big deal. Fall asleep after another 15 minutes like nothing happened. I love me sleep paralysis, they are the best types of dreams, making me feel tingly at the very memory of them. Lady in the gray dress appeared to me 2 more times, at least I recall 2 additional ones. Can type in more, if you want. Be me again. Came back to motherland after a year abroad. Moved in with my friend, his brother, and his brother's GF. My friend and I lived in a small 10 square meters room or so. All we had there were our PCs, a wardrobe, his bed, my mattress, and an old clothes dryer. Spent days playing video with the friend. Nothing much to do, being between jobs again while having plenty of savings from previous one. Start chatting with friend's brother's GF. Let's say Melissa. Seems okay, brews me coffee when I wake up around 4 PM and kicks me to wake me up to have a chat at the kitchen. Think I'm in love.jpg. Regardless, it was around November. Me, friend and Melissa were talking about some shit in our 10 square meters room. Around midnight she left, and friend went to sleep. He had to wake up at 7 A to go to work. Play video until 2 A 3 A, not being a wage kook yet. Decided I'm done playing, lay on the mattress. After some time, it got bright/dark again. Didn't pay it any mind. Look to my right. Why the fuck is Melissa squatting under clothes dryer staring at me? Wait a minute. MP3. Realize I can't move. Blymaitsalmagain.avi. She squats there, her pale arms around her knees, looking at me. Face being black. Nothing, Jess. We have already been through it, love. Not feeling the same terror as before. This time it's just melancholy. She's there watching me. I stare back. Intothy abyss lol. Blink. She's gone. Feel a bit empty inside. Fall asleep after 5 minutes. Haven't seen her since, at last not that I remember. Wonder what she was. NGL, I miss her a bit. Had few more sleep paralyses in my life, most of them in my pop's house. It's not built on any burial ground, sacred land, or a battlefield. Just a random semi-rural location. Bright/dark again. Snake floats through air towards me. Like the snakes that go super fast on desert sand, but on air. Disappeared just before it reached me. Felt spooked. Also. Bright/dark. Seaweed hanging from the ceiling. Somehow got up from bed. In a trance-like state. When I almost touched them, they changed into the shadows of branches from nearby trees light up by a pale moon. And. Bright/dark. A fucking bee flies around in the middle of the night. Fuck you, bee. Bee proceeds to charge at me. Try to catch it with my blanket. Throw blanket into the air. Gotcha, bee. Realize what I'm doing. It's a fucking dream again, you dumb bloke. This one was particularly annoying, as few years later I was sleeping comfy in my bed with Melissa, and heard the buzzing sound again. It was way deeper this time, but I realized it's dark, not bright/dark. A fucking hornet flew in through the window. Other than that, it was mostly dreams like taking a shower in blood in some sort of mall like it was the most mundane thing in the world. Multiple falls from buildings. Few murders. Falling off of a ship sailing through land. Howl's moving castle vibes. Yoda telling me to off someone as they were bitten by the zombie. Kill_her_you_must.avp. jumping into giant spider web to get eaten by an appropriately sized spider. General mix of spoopy, absurd, terror and murder. I have one more sleep paralysis story, the most real and horrific thing that happened to me. I will type it as well. If no one reads it, it's fine with me, I'll at least get it off my chest. It's almost a pun, you'll see in a minute. So the last bit isn't with spooks, ghost GFS or stuff like that, but was the most terrifying experience I have ever had. For context of Pop's house, it's a 120m2-ish house, ground floor, and first floor. Ground floor is kitchen, guest room, bathroom, living room, and dining room. When you go upstairs on the right you have my soon-to-be-born stepsister's room, then on the left bathroom, Pop's room on the right, and at the end of the corridor my room. When you open doors to mine, looking left you could see a bit of living room. Be me once again. Younger, in late teens. Living with Pops and his wife. Just finished high school and had last summer before going to uni. It was middle of the day, around 2 p.m., maybe 3 p.m. Nice sunny day, not full-blown hellish assault of summer heat. Some friends of my Pops came to visit, mingled with them for a bit, then moved to my room to read some books. Lay on bed, grab some more other fantasy crap I used to read. At one point find myself sitting on the floor, my back against the wall. How did I get here? Feel an immense pressure on my chest. Like something gigantic grabbed my torso. Start feeling a grip on my heart. Indiana_Jones_Ann_the_temple_of_spook. Can't breathe. The pain is too much to bear. Vision goes red and blurry. I need help. I think I'm dying. Fuck. The pain prevents me from standing up. Try to crawl towards the door, need to call out to family, need to get help. Manage to open the door just a bit. Try to yell for help. No strength, just a silent yelp. Fuck me, not like this. Pass out. Come to sitting under the wall again. Be 100% sure the pain lingered for a bit. Feel it go by. Breath in, breathe out. Did I just have a heart attack? Hands shaking, sit there mortified for another half an hour. Go downstairs, trying to seem chill. No one noticed anything, no one heard anything. A middle of the fucking day and I am not sure if I almost died or not. Summary in a moment. My Pops had a pre-infarction state few times in the past, he told me in detail how it felt. He's on blood pressure meds for quite some years now. I experienced some chest pains in pre and elementary school, they were gone in my teens. An uncle of mine, husband of my late aunt, died of heart attack last year. Never told my Pops about it, don't want to scare him, but shit. It felt so goddamn real. The terror of not being able to do anything, and your body just glitching the fuck out. Int 4, no drugs, no alcohol, nothing. I am generally healthy, catching flu or something once a year. Heart in tip-top condition, checked at doctors. But the feeling of getting offed by something I assume was a heart attack is still vivid in my memories. That's for the things I remember the best. If something else comes to my mind, I'll post it somewhere on /x/ why the fuck not?
Be me, asleep in bed with GF. In her parents' old farmhouse, they're out of town. She wakes me, 2 a.m. There are noises downstairs. Swing out of bed and go to landing, turning on the lights. See Harvey, the dog, barking etc. at the door to the kitchen downstairs. He looks stressed as I go down the stairs. I open the door to the kitchen and realize the radio is on, full blast. It's digital and maybe it's a glitch or someone set it to come on as a joke. GF has a younger sister, also away. Turning it off at the wall switch to avert any of this trickery, I then tuck the dog back in his bed, smiley face. I head back upstairs, turning off lights as I go and get back to our room. GF asks what was up and I explain the radio had turned itself on somehow. Fall asleep. I'm awoken. It's now 4, and the music is blaring again, the dog pawing at the door. What exactly the fuck.json? I run down the stairs. Aside from the radio being on again, all is fine. I turned it off at the wall. I know I did. I'm 100% sure of the fact. I don't even know how to turn that radio off with its buttons. I know this is some odd shit now and decide to completely unplug the radio. When I do this I say enough loudly and sternly. Never happened again, but stuff would also move itself around that house, or go missing only to reappear where it was searched for. Pick unrelated.
This story might not be 100% real, or accurate to the source. It's a friend's mother's sister's aunt's niece's great uncle's type of story, but fuck it. There was a locally famous Jehovah's Witness elder, named David, in a small town somewhere in Barber County, West Virginia. He was a miracle worker, able to turn water into wine, and reliably and very accurately tell the future. People heralded him as the second coming, but his existence further drew a schism between the local Pentecostals and the Jehovah's Witnesses because of the Pentecostal belief that this man was the Antichrist. By all accounts, David was a nice man, humble and content with a simple farm life. On one night, however, he let his true colors slip. He was alone that night tutoring two young boys, whose names have never been known, about how to read and write. According to one of the boys, David took the other boy into another room, and didn't come out for a while. Being curious, and impatient, the boy who was left behind opened the door to the room David had entered. Whatever he saw, had blinded him, and he had just barely managed to hobble out of David's house and get someone to help. That someone was a Pentecostal priest named Willis. Willis struggled to get into the home. The front door had locked since the blinded boy had found him. He knocked, and knocked, even upon the windows, but David did not answer. Suspecting the worst, due to the Jehovah's Witnesses' reputation for pedophilia, Willis amassed a small mob to come investigate whatever had blinded the poor boy. What the mob found in David's home was horrific. Everything was normal until they had gotten to the only room in the house with a closed door. David's study. David laid splayed out on a large dining table, his stomach ripped open and a hole in his stomach. He had no organs, or perhaps the small ocean of maggots resting within his stomach cavity had already devoured them. His body was still warm, his eyes apparently even following those who approached his carcass. He was naked, genitals erect, and the other boy was nowhere to be seen. His face was contorted into half of pain, and one half of pleasure. His chest raised and lowered rapidly like he was hyperventilating, yet his face was frozen and no breath exhaled from his mouth that hung slack-jawed. Most hauntingly, according to Willis, branded into David's forehead in wicked letters was some word. Written in a script indecipherable, yet totally legible. Although Willis could not read it, although whatever script it was written in was so detached from the Latin alphabet, he understood clearly that whatever the word was, it meant guilty. Some accounts say that David was mercy killed by the mob, others state that he was buried in this state. Some even say that his body turned to maggots and rot as the mob tried to lift him off the table to bury him.